I think ever since you've come into office, things are really looking up. Gas is up, rent is up, food is up, everything. No, it really has been a tough first year for you, Mr. President. Gas is up, gas is up, gas is up, everything. Rent is up, everything, everything, everything. Gas is up, rent is up, food is up, gas is up, rent is up, food is up, everything.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel. It is Memorial Day weekend. I hope you have celebrated it in fond remembrance. In fact, I want to start this show before we get into the absolute catastrophe and all of the just heartbreak and difficulties this country is facing. I want to tell you what Memorial Day is all about, and I'm taking it from thearmytimes.com. Thearmytimes.com. And I'll read this to you just so I get it verbatim. Memorial Day falls on the last Monday of May. Americans all over the country honor fallen service members with parades, barbecues, and commemorative services. Though Memorial Day was made an official federal holiday in 1971, its roots trace all the way back to the Civil War, when Northerners and Southerners alike were looking for a way to publicly mourn their fallen. Most observances were concentrated in the South, where the most Civil War graves were located. 25 cities claim to be the birthplace, folks. And one story maintains that in 1866, a group of Mississippi women went to decorate the graves of soldiers who had died in the Battle of Shiloh. When they arrived, they found the Confederate graves well cared for, in stark contrast to the nearby graves of Union soldiers, which were bare and unkempt. Saddened, the women placed their flowers on the Union graves too. On May 5th, 1868, just 3 years after the Civil War, a group of Union veterans known as the Grand Army of the Republic declared May 30th to be the Decoration Day. Major General John A. Logan gave the order for his post to decorate graves, quote, with the choicest flowers of springtime. Let no neglect, no ravage of time testify to the present or to the coming generations that we have forgotten as a people the cost of a free and undivided republic. I'll just leave it at that. I'll leave it at that. It has to do with veterans. It has to do with veterans, folks. It's a day that Americans are supposed to set aside to commemorate those who have fallen in battle, in war, for freedom, liberty, and country. Right? That's the real history of Memorial Day, folks. It's not a month, it's a day. It's not like Pride Month, right? What have the fruits done for America except spread AIDS, molest children, and kill Christians? Just asking for a friend. Folks, it's Memorial Day, and you know it, I know it, we all know it. We know what veterans and those who supported veterans and supported every effort, we know what it's all about. This is Sunday Night Live, folks. It is the Zoo. We're here on the preparedmind.club, subscribestar.com, and also YouTube. All of us together in one big shot. Woo! I tell you. And that's two. Woo! What a day. I was out training today. I chose paddleboarding through the estuaries and made it out to the Gulf Coast. Did not get attacked by an alligator, but almost got tipped by dolphins. Interesting stuff. Staying in shape, folks. Did not see one "Let's go Joe Biden, we love you" flag. Saw several "Let's go Brandon" flags, U.S. flags, military flags, state flags, American flags, etc. In fact, I don't think I've ever seen a "Joe Biden is awesome," any "Joe Biden is good" flags. Just the F Biden flags. Now, this is Sunday Night Live, which means I've got my bottle of 18-year-old Glenlivet with me. And for anyone who does a $50 super chat or bigger, and super chat is right up there in that corner. We've also got PayPal, Venmo, and CashApp. Anyone who does $50 or more buys me an 18-year-old scotch. And it also, folks, goes to more than just that, right? Supporting the channel is supporting freedom and liberty and spreading the word and encouraging others to wake up. So we're going to start off with Darcy T, who did a $50 super chat donation. Thank you very much, Darcy T. She is amongst the first every weekend to get her donation in. Thank you very much, Semper Fi. There it is. So Darcy T says, good evening, John. My question for tonight's zoo is, even if the World Health Organization pandemic treaty is not signed or ratified, there is nothing stopping our government from adhering to it anyway. Like all of the major U.S. cities are adhering to the Paris Accords, even though we are not officially signed on to it. If anyone doubts that, look into your Climate Action Plan, CAP, for any large city. They all have one. P.S. On this Memorial Day weekend, I wanted to thank you for your service. I want to thank everybody who has served. I want to thank everybody who has served those who serve. I want to thank everybody who is a real American, right? Real Americans, folks. You know who you are. If you love America, you're an American at heart. Look at all the people in this country that hate our country. Hate it. Real hatred, folks. Real hatred. People who are violent terrorists and anti-Americans, they're here in our country. We have domestic enemies, enemies on our soil. On this, our Memorial Day, I'm not worried about, folks, an undivided republic. My main concern is having any kind of republic over one of these so-called democracies. Folks, democracy is an awful, awful government. So yeah, Memorial Day is Memorial Day. We're engaged in a war though right now. Folks, get this. Let's just start right off the bat, and we're going to do super chat donations all through the show. $50, $40, $20, $1. I don't care. You get your donation up there. It puts food in the pantry. It makes sure the channel stays up. Everything is good. Everything is good. Right? We keep the channel alive, freedom, liberty, and fighting, folks, those who want to destroy our country from within and without. We used to worry more about people not on our soil fighting us. Now, I think, well, in my opinion, my perspective, the enemy on our soil is more dangerous than the one that is not. And we'll talk about that as we get into topics throughout this show and then on into the future. Domestic enemies need to be addressed, recognized, identified, and, well, eliminated. They need to have their power eliminated. I'm not talking about anything violent or dangerous, but they need to be eliminated as a threat. Let's do this. Let's start with some super chats. Jolene, who do we want to put up first on the board? We got Ooman and Jolene, the prepared mother in the background, doing their job as normal, making sure no fruitcakes are on the loose in the chat section, making sure we got everything up. We got Chin Music. Oh, by the way, Chin Music did a super chat donation as well. Super chat donation as well. $22.23. 223. Thank you very much, Chin Music. And he says, if I told you your current vehicle had to last you the rest of your life, would you maintain it? Take your answer to that question and apply it to your health and your body, because that you do only have one of. With what's coming on us, or what's coming at us head on, you're going to need the mind, body, spirit connection for strength and endurance. Love you guys, one and all. Happy Memorial Day. Support a Gold Star family and all your vets. All right. Well, yeah, people people, I think, tend to abuse their bodies. Yes, they do. They abuse their bodies and use them. You know, it's an interesting thought. I've met people or known people who didn't ever do anything dangerous or harmful to their body that they knew of. They tried taking really good care of themselves, and they still died 70, 75, 80. Right? When your time is up, your time is up. That does not mean that you can't get more time by taking care of your body, or the time that you have. The time that you have with us is more healthy. You feel better. You think better. Your spirit, your soul, everything feels better because you've taken care of yourself. So yes, please take care of yourself, and right, you're going to need that health. It's especially trying, folks, during hard times, both mentally and physically. It's extremely hard if you are living an unhealthy life and lifestyle. That's a fact. Thank you very much, and for your continuing support, Chin Music. I appreciate it, and I love knowing you're out there. Please let us know if you visit your congressman there in Texas and have anything to say, or if your congressman responds to you and gives you some answers, some thoughts, some correspondence. We'll be looking forward to that. I know you're down in Texas and you're right on the border dealing with a bunch of crap down there. And your representative is Mr. Chip. All right, let's move on if we shall. Let's do another super chat donation while we're on it. And we got Blue Cord Devil. He's doing a $57.62. That's $50 plus a $7.62, folks. It's a $57.62 super chat donation. And there we have it. Blue Cord Devil says, on this weekend, let us raise a glass to those who gave everything. I know too many names, but this year I'm thinking of our nephew who gave his last breath in 2011, serving the U.S. Air Force. Peace and prayers, John, Jolene, Uman, and everyone else. Watch your six. Semper Fi. All right. I had a little prayer in there as well. Thank you very much, Blue Cord Devil. I appreciate it. It is Memorial Day. Now, who is fighting us here on our soil? Who are some of the big names, the big groups, the big threats? Well, folks, there was a series of bomb threats. That's right. Stores are being hit with bomb threats in America right now. Do you know what stores? Well, specifically at this moment, Target. That's right, Target, the Walmart style superstore. Super corporate store, they're being hit with bomb threats because the LGBTQ plus community says that Target is turning its back on them. See, folks, the fruitcakes are terrorists. They're also losers. They're also pedophiles. And they're also Satanists. And they are on our soil. And the war is over morality and decency. And I guess I'll jump right into this. I'll jump right into it, folks. An immoral nation, immoral cannot stand. A nation that is sick and doesn't revere itself, its national pride, a nation that is sick and doesn't adhere to fundamental basic guidelines of decency, aka the 10 Commandments and the Golden Rule. If you don't adhere to those, then guess what? You're not a moral country. And if you allow people to victimize the weak, the helpless, and the innocent, if you allow that, then you're going to allow immorality to spread. And here we are. These fruitcakes, folks. I remember back in the early 90s, MAMBLA, which was Man and Boy, MABLA, Man and Boy Love Association, was a group that was meeting in public libraries. Funny how these fruitcakes like to go to public libraries and talk about sex with children, right? Just like they like to show up now and drag and read stories to children, as I'm sure they have sick little thoughts about them. But back then, MABLA, folks, Man and Boy Love Association, got a lot of negative press. Americans were not pleased to hear that people meet in public and talk about this crap, right? Perversion. And I've shared with you before, and I'll share with you again. A 12-year-old girl, family member of mine, back in the 90s, had homosexuality introduced to her and her class in school in California. And the fruitcakes up there, and I'm sure this is all part of the program, even back in the late 90s. The idea was to introduce what they were doing to people, right? And they said, oh yeah, we like to think about sex. That's what these homosexuals said. We think about it all the time, and right now we're thinking about it with you, and pointed to the kids. And at that point, the teacher was like, oh, no, we got to stop right there. No, folks, that's what they've been about. A lot of them have been honest about it from the very beginning. They've been honest about it from the very beginning, who they are and what they want. And folks, it is a fight over morality and decency. They're trying to destroy the moral foundation of this country, because without that, we cannot fight. And so this is a moral fight. You can't claim to be good if you're rotten in your soul, like these people are. That's why I say they're not Americans, because they don't love America. Because if they loved America, this flag right here, if they loved America, they wouldn't do what they're doing and destroy its fiber, its strength, its core, its foundation with their filthy pedophile crap. Oh, it's huge, folks. It's on. Let's do this. Let's do another super chat donation and see what you guys have in your mind, what's come up over the weekend. Oh, well, chin music is going to go right back down that road. He says, have you noticed the gay lobby trying to separate from the rest of the rainbow mafia now that the heat is getting turned up, especially with the Target, as in Target stores BS, just like all the Jim Jones juice thugs who demonized me. I remember the names I was called 20 years ago when I suggested gay marriage would land us right where we are now. Fuck them and keep the pressure at a maximum. Thoughts from the Viking lair. I'll tell you what, yeah, it's a big part of it. They will demonize you. Now, listen, they do have the gay rights group, but it's Gays Against Groomers. There are people, folks, who are gay, who are not whacked out of their mind, way out on the left, like the rest of, the Rainbow Pride crowd. Where you got a bunch of log cabin Republicans, you got a bunch of in-the-closet gays who don't want it out there. And frankly, I'm glad they don't want it out there and I don't have to deal with it. But yeah, they're trying to separate themselves, distinguish themselves. I think they understand the difference between their thing in their head about their sexuality and foisting it and forcing it on others. Well, that's their battle that they have to fight in their head and for their soul. And I'm glad that they aren't supporting. Right? The more people we have going against this grooming move, the better. Absolute better. I mean, they're trying to push all manner, folks, the evil fruits. There's a Christian college, folks. There's a Christian college out there. Guess what's going on there? At a Christian college. Well, the Biden administration is pushing crap on everybody. Biden signed an executive order, folks, that redefined the terms sex, sexual orientation, and gender identity. Did you know that? And then Biden's Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, had new rules requiring schools to open their women's dormitories, showers, and everything, folks, to men who identify as women. Did you know the President of the United States has the authority to redefine the difference between the genders? And say it's not what gender you really have between your legs. It's not the science, it's what someone pretends. And even religious institutions, folks, were not exempted from this bullshit rule. But there is a Christian college, the College of the Ozarks, that said, nah, I don't think so. Right? They're in Missouri. They filed a lawsuit. They've argued that the historical interpretation of the Fair Housing Act confirms that sex means biological sex. They're going to fight it in court, right? Because this has to do with housing, HUD, housing and urban development, HUD, and dormitories on colleges. See, they want this battle for the decency, the stability of America attacked on every single level. The military, the schools, in housing, in jobs, in the investment world, in the courts. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. They're taking this case, which they had thrown out, to the Supreme Court. Folks, we've got a war on our hands. Right? If the school doesn't comply and allow perverted, sick, gender-confused men into the showers with other women at colleges, they can get serious fines and even criminal liability for officials who refuse to bow down to an executive act. It's not even a statute that has been passed by the House and the Senate. This is an executive decree, folks, as if Biden were king and his word was more powerful than that of God. These people are that sick. And they want the same thing in your children and grandchildren's schools, folks. Seriously, that's what they want. They want men pretending to be women, or at least saying they are, doing whatever they want. And we're seeing this is being expressed, folks, in the private sector, that is our world, and in jails. In jails, these guys pretending to be women, saying they're women, are actually screwing and impregnating female prisoners because they're being put in female population. It is absolutely ridiculous, folks. And you are fighting back. You really are. Folks, we're fighting back. You want some examples? I'll give you some, right? Down in Florida, we'll start with Florida. People who are a bunch of perverted freaks called furries. They're called furries, folks. And they had something called Florida Furry Con. That's where you dress up as a furry animal in a furry costume, and then you screw everything and everyone you can. Right? We have to win back our morality, folks, and then we can win freedom altogether. Right? Well, Florida Furry Con has banned minors, that is, people under 18 years old, from attending their fetish convention because of Florida's new legislation. We need more of that, folks. More legislation, more laws, more people standing up. We need you, Americans, just like me, to write, text, email, call your political representatives at the state level, as well as in Washington, D.C., and telling them, we're sick of this shit. We're done with it. We see what it's doing. You know, the people that support it are evil, evil, evil bastards. America has turned a leaf, folks. They've turned their backs on that evil, and we're now facing the correct direction, right? We're fighting it. We're speaking up. We're taking action. And it's pissing them off, folks. The fruitcakes are angry that children, they're angry that children can't come see their disgusting fetishes. Seriously, folks, that's what they want. There is no doubt about it. There's no doubt about it. Wow. Okay. Well, I'm going to back off a little bit. I want this channel to take off tonight, right now. So hit the thumbs up, share that internet address right up there. Share it with everyone you can. Get them to wake the hell up and start taking action. You're no longer on the losing side if you support decency. You're not the bad guy anymore if you support decency. Actually, you're the good guy now. You're the smart guy. You're the intelligent guy if you support decency and morality. It's swinging the other way. People are tired of being told to shut up, and they're starting to speak up. Are you going to join us? I really hope that you do. I hope you do. Because America and the world, folks, needs us. They need us fighting back. Crazy stuff. I mean, the left is still there. The mainstream media is still hiding everything. Hollywood is still Holly weird and Holly everything else, right? Even though they're actors and actresses, many of them are threatening us, literally threatening Americans, right? A Twilight actress, who is woke, of course, has a non-binary child. Well, guess what she called target boycotters, people like you and me? She called us terrorists because the store has been removing its LGBTQ Satan products. So, folks, she's pissed. She's calling us terrorists. I don't think we're the ones corrupting children and teaching children immoral thoughts. Oh, wait. Maybe I should go down this road. Maybe I should tell you a little bit about Barack Obama and Michelle Obama. All of this grooming and pornography and filth that is in schools, folks, can be traced back directly to Obama. And Obama's Safe Schools Are was promoting it as well. Who's responsible for this? It's been heading this way, but Obama. Why would Obama want trans material in schools? Should we ask Michelle and Michael, who are the same person? Should we? Doesn't it make sense now if you understand that the bulge in Michelle's dress and Obama's support of the trans community makes a little more sense these days? Well, Target, that giant store, right, has partnered with an organization, and this came up a few days ago, called GLSEN. It stands for Gay, Lesbian, and Straight Education Network. GLSEN is a group that provides sexually explicit books to schools. It supports gender ideology bullshit throughout public schools. And it pushes for policies that keep parents unaware of their children's in-school gender transition bullshit. This is Obama's group, folks. This is the group that is also tied to Target right now. It's tied to Target. Target is partnered and buddied with GLSEN. Let me tell you a little more about GLSEN. Their conferences include dildo tips for children. GLSEN promotes several books as suggested reading, including a book promoting S&M to children. That is to say, well, slave and master. S&M games, folks. Now listen, I am not going to say that for sex you should cut a hole in a sheet and place the sheet over your spouse and just, turn off the lights and everything else. In fact, I recommend turning on your lights so you make sure the person you're having sex with is the proper gender. I'm not saying missionary position only. I'm just saying these people are sick and they're teaching this to children, right? They have a book detailing sex between first graders. First graders. GLSEN, folks, at a linked conference, one they're associated with, handed out local gay bar guides to teens. So not only are they trying to get teens to go find homosexuals, They're sending them to bars, alcohol places, right? And their GLSEN Black Book includes tips on fisting and pissing on your partner. And I bet there's a lot of people in this audience who don't even know what fisting is. Okay. Obama and his husband fundamentally changed America as they promised. They and their pedophile partners and their mainstream media buddies who have been hiding this all along. They were exposed in the early 90s, folks, but don't worry. It took a few more years, but they got the mainstream media to start carrying their water, promoting their perversions. It is just awful, folks. Awful. Awful. Now, let's do this. Let's do another super chat donation. Let's see who we want to put up there next. And we have William Nipper with a $4.99 super chat donation. Remember, thank you. Your super chat donations keep this show going, keep us on the air, pay for servers, bandwidth, and all the things we need, folks. We could get kicked off of YouTube anytime, kicked off the internet. And we have to fight to get our way back on. Everything, folks, depends on you and your support. So thank you so much. It's been a while, he says, since I've made a live show. I'm glad you're here on Memorial Day, William. Thank you very much. Thank you very, very much. Now, we got a problem. We got an issue that's going down right now. And I want to tell you about it. We've got some World War III folks coming big time. They're mixing the pandemic with their nuclear threats. Well, Russia has claimed that they have, folks, they have evidence that avian flu, bird flu, have a lethality rate of up to 40% in humans, and they found these highly lethal pathogens, that is diseases, at a U.S. biolab in Ukraine. Do you understand why Washington, D.C. and why the European Union are fighting like mad to keep the Russians out, to kick them out, and they can't? The Russians are going into the breakaway territories that no longer want to be part of the corrupt Ukraine nation, because they were being abused, folks, sorely abused. Not only with corruption, folks, but ethnic cleansing or genocide, if you will. Unlike the fruits in America who think that the trans community was having genocide put against it. Over in eastern Ukraine, ethnic Russians were being killed in literal. And so the Russians came in and said enough of that shit and invaded the country. They held elections and decided they wanted to be part of the Russian Federation. Well, why didn't Washington, D.C., England, and the rest of Europe decide, well, I guess that's the way it is. The people voted. Well, because they've got something to hide, folks. Now, Russia makes claims, and Russia is known for its lies and its propaganda as well. I'm not a Russian stooge or Russian asset. I don't believe everything they say. I just say, whoa, let's think about it. Why, folks? Why is it that America and the rest of Europe wants to keep Ukraine under its thumb? What is so great about Ukraine that we have to risk World War III and the release of, well, pandemic quality diseases? You know, just what the fuck is going on over there? Again, let's ask the questions. How many hundreds of billions of dollars have been laundered? FTX investment group, folks, remember that? Cryptocurrency company? How many tens of billions of dollars did they launder through Ukraine and send back to American politicians? How much money laundering is going on over there to enrich American politicians? Oh, World War III. Guess what? Jackass, lighten the loafers, ding dong. Lindsey Graham, senator, supposedly a Republican, is over there sucking up to Zelensky. And I probably should refer to that in the literal sense, since they're both light in the loafers. And he's promising him that they'll give him all the support they need. All the wartime support that they need, folks. Isn't that just dandy? Doesn't that make you feel all warm and fuzzy inside, knowing that Lindsey Graham is promising to give Ukraine all the weapons they need? Yeah, I'm just all warm and fuzzy about that. I can't wait. Let's have it. Let's have more war. Oh, shit. Hang on to that, Jolene. The answer is yes when I call for it. Yes when I call for it. Okay, thank you. Folks, yeah, we've got more Ukraine news. More Ukraine news. World War III is the war outside the country. The morality, decency war is being fought in our country. It truly is. It truly is. Now, we got a lot of stuff going on. Apparently, there was a large Viking sighting on this Memorial Day weekend. Jolene, we got one of the viewers claims to have seen something. And this is AMS with a $4.99 super chat donation. And he says, I'm pretty sure I spotted a giant Viking stand-up paddleboarding in the Gulf of Mexico recently. Was that you, John? I'm in a really sunny state in the U.S. The answer is probably yes. That was probably me. I do a lot of paddle boarding for endurance, balance, resistance to heat, all kinds of things. I like it quite a bit. Odds are yes. I had a number of people today that I came across give me the interesting eye. This, not quite a stink eye, but it just, anyways. Odds are, yeah, it was. But let's keep the location just in case it was me or Roger. Keep the location quiet if we can. I appreciate your respect for that request. But yeah, you probably saw me. Okay. Anyways, I'm out there, folks. I'm literally, actually out there. Yeah. Okay, very good. Thank you, Jolene. Folks, it is Sunday Night Live. It is Memorial Day weekend. It is zoo time. This is your chance. You can hit that super chat button and talk about what you want. We'll put your question up right here, and I'll make you famous. There's a lot going on. It's not just about the fruitcakes. It's not just about Ukraine. It's not just about pandemic. It's not just about the crashing stock market / monetary market / everything market. It's not just the bond market. It's not just stocks. It's not just equities. It's everything economic. It's not just transportation. It's not just the infrastructure. It's the everything structure. Everything. Yeah, the Russians say they got evidence of avian flu pathogens. But I've got something for you guys that just might interest you. Are you ready for that? Are you ready for that? I bet you are. Oh, by the way, no, I'm going to save it. Someone remind me to talk about our good buddy McCarthy. I don't know. Just, there's so much going on right now. There's a big, oh my God, there's just too much. Folks, Ukraine right now, by the way, is just getting smothered and destroyed and pounded by a massive series of drone attacks by Russia. It seems like for every one victory or claim of victory the Ukrainians have with regard to attacks, the Russians come back tenfold. They come back tenfold. And we're continuing to send military equipment and hardware over there at an alarmingly high rate. Now, I saw that news story over the weekend that America is basically telegraphing what they're doing. They're telling Russia and the world, look at all of this stuff we're sending over. Boatloads of stuff is being sent over. Now, on the Russian side, folks, imagine what they're thinking. What would we think if we heard that, that's right, that Turkey was shipping rocket launchers and AK-47s and tanks down to Mexico so Mexico could invade America? Would we look at Turkey as the enemy for supplying our enemy that's trying to invade our country? Would we have the right, the moral ground to stand and go, hey, if you're sending your stuff to Mexico and they're attacking us with it, then we will attack you? What does Russia say to Europe and America, who are sending rocket launchers, rockets, drones, missiles, bombs, guns, ammunition, tanks, helicopters, planes over to Ukraine so Ukraine can use it to kill Russians and kill Russian civilians and attack Russian cities? At some point, when does Russia turn loose on the rest of the world? Now, I do know and believe that Putin is smart enough to realize he doesn't want to escalate the war and draw America and Europe into a physical war where their troops, their soldiers, their Marines are on the ground facing off against Wagner and the Spetsnaz, right? The Russian military. Right? But Russia is kicking the stuffing out of Ukraine every chance it gets. And if America and the rest of Europe was doing such a great job of helping the Ukrainians win the war, don't you think they would have taken back all of those lost territories? That by now they would have pushed those stinking Russians back over the line into their own country? Don't you think? But they haven't. In fact, they're telegraphing their spring offensive. Why? Why would you do that? Why would you tell them what you're up to? Not the brightest move, in my opinion. What do you have on your mind, folks? What are you thinking about? What is coming up? What is making you go, man, I better be prepared? Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine. Oh yeah, means of self-defense. Crazy shit, folks. Our system here, our country is failing big time. I mean, get this, folks. In Texas, there's a high school there that has had to postpone their graduation. They may as well cancel it altogether because 85% of the class has failed to earn a diploma. 85% of a high school, folks, and that's in Texas. I mean, can't they, give these kids credits as for majoring in perversions? Once again, thanks, teachers. Thank you, school boards. Thank you, Obama and Biden, for taking learning out of schools and introducing sex and pornography and perversion in replace of it, and transgenderism and everything else. I mean, there are folks, there's good people in politics. Here's, even some Democrats are against what's going on. I guess we got RFK Jr., Robert Kennedy Jr., who's trying to say, hey, Democrat Party, you better turn it around. And then there's also Tulsi Gabbard, who I think is still a socialist. She's a socialist, a Hawaiian socialist at that. But she is called the Democrats a quote, elitist cabal of warmongers, end quote. Tulsi better be careful because she might accidentally go swimming carrying too much chain wrapped around her waist. She definitely needs to be careful, calling Democrats an elitist cabal of warmongers. That's some name calling there. That's some name calling. She better be careful because the deep state, the federal government, Washington, D.C., is the deep state and loves the deep state, and they think they're the patriots.
They want to eliminate what they call the deep state. The deep state is a cadre of professionals dedicated to honoring the Constitution, the laws of this country, and carrying out the policies of the Congress and the President. The deep state dedicated to carrying out the policies of the President.
That's enough. That is enough of that. Tulsi better be careful. Folks, it's pretty bad when a political leader in this country, even though she's a stinking socialist, looks at what's going on and goes, hey, this is too much. Well, the problems we have with these fruitcakes is everywhere, folks. Let us take an international ride to the nation of Italy. The Italian police, I think, have had enough of this shit. I think the people of Italy, folks, Italy is it's in like the trifecta triangle of stupidity in Europe. They had illegal immigrants being shipped, literally put on boats in North Africa, Northwest Africa, Northeast Africa, being dropped off on their islands and dropped off on their shores. They're being invaded by this UN, United Nations belief system. Oh, it's a big deal, folks, this belief system, the United Nations. That's right. Even if the country doesn't sign it, in fact, I never really addressed Darcy's comment, and I need to, because it applies to Italy. Even if a country doesn't accept it, the cities, well, I'll get back to Italy in a minute. In America, the United States of America, the cities are supporting United Nations guidelines, rules, agendas, and programs, whether it has to do with the environment, whether it has to do with immigration, whether it has to do with carbon. They don't care, even if they're not passed. This needs to be stopped. This is a local issue at the cities, and it's a state issue. And it's also a federal constitutional issue. But do you see how they're just sidestepping the entire Constitution altogether and wiping it off to the side? When cities adopt these policies, and they don't tell the people, hey, we're adopting international law policies that are anti-American and are going to destroy your jobs, your property value, and your country. Well, folks, that's immoral also. It's not sexually perverted, but it is still a perversion of law. And God's law, or folks, morality, extends far beyond just homosexuality and fruitcakes. It's being honest, being fair, being decent. Anyways, the Italian police, folks, they have delivered a massive smackdown, beatdown to a tranny freak. Why would they do that? Aren't we supposed to love trans people and LGBTQIA plus people? Aren't we supposed to? Well, why did they beat his ass? Well, he claimed to be a woman, but he attacked the police. And folks, he allegedly exposed himself to children. In other words, he showed his genitals to kids. Folks, in Milan, Italy, that's not going to fly. And it was filmed. A tranny female who's a biological male, meaning a male, had the XY chromosome in action, folks. Yeah, he was threatening the lives of the children as well as exposing them to his sexual reproductive organs. And let's hope that he has neutered himself chemically so he can't reproduce. So yeah, Wednesday morning at the Istituto Comprensivo Casa della Sal, right? A primary school near Trotter Park was where this happened. And this guy was not Italian, by the way. He was a Brazilian. He doesn't live in Italy, doesn't have Italian residency, right? Stripping naked in front of children at the school, threatened to infect every single person, including children, folks, at the school with his AIDS virus. There's no cure for AIDS, folks. You get AIDS, not just HIV, but you get AIDS, the autoimmune deficiency syndrome, And it just happens to be 100% fatal. This guy was threatening people with that. How do you infect people with AIDS? You screw them in the ass. That's what this guy was doing, exposing himself to children, threatening them, and threatening to screw them in the ass and give them AIDS. And that is the type of material that the United Nations supports, that they want in every country. They want people from other countries to go to any country they want. They call it their migration policy. And cities in the United States are adopting these policies, which is why we have fruitcakes from other countries running all over our country and all over the world, because the UN wants them to be able to migrate, to go where they want. And thankfully, you know, boy, good thing we got Obama here and Biden to make sure we can't tell them, no, you're not allowed into women's locker rooms and women's bathrooms and women's showers. You can do whatever you want and say whatever you want. There is a serious case of lawlessness, folks. Lawlessness all over the world. Who is in charge of that? Who is in charge of it? The World Economic Forum, folks, is responsible for supporting all of this. The World Economic Forum is people like Bill Gates. That's right. Klaus Schwab is their leader of that particular group. But there's also other groups like the Bilderberg. They're all the same people, folks. They all belong to different clubs, and they're big clubs, and none of us are part of them. But their papers are released to the public. They do public speeches, and we get to hear it. We get to hear what they're all about. Right? The veritable and always famous Rockefellers and Rothschilds, of course, let's use that name or those names. The Warren Buffetts, Bill Gates, the Zuckerbergs of the world love all of this. They want national borders torn down so they can run from, well, continent to continent and country to country, doing whatever they want. Now, the fight is being taken up by the church, this fight that you and I are engaged in for morality and decency. How many people have fallen, lost, been defeated by these scumbag freaks? Well, they're going after the Catholic Church, folks. You bet. The FBI is in Catholic churches, infiltrating them, trying to make sure those dangerous little Catholics don't do anything wrong. Not really. What they're trying to do is intimidate them and silence them. Well, the LA Dodgers decided they want to have the anti-Catholic trans nuns show up, you know, on Pride Month. And the Catholic Church, or at least a Catholic advocacy group, it has a $1 million campaign, and they're spreading the word to boycott the LA Dodgers, right, for honoring this blasphemous anti-Christ, anti-Catholic piece of shit group. Well, I want to spread the word that, yeah, that's it. Done. Baseball, done. It's not just the Dodgers, it's all of them. Done. You want to have those kind of freaks? Forget it. Any sports team that has freak night or freak week or freak month, forget it. I'm done. If I'm not already done, I'm really done. I'm absolutely done, folks. Even down here in the South, there's a lot of evidence that these fruitcakes are running wild, and they need to be put back in their little jars, have the lid screwed down tight, and fix the problems. All right, enough of my stuff. Folks, it is Memorial Day weekend. There's a lot going on, but I felt it was important for me to come on here and talk about Memorial Day, and that veterans Americans have fallen in war, in chaos, in combat, in order for others to live free. And now what do we have? We have Americans refusing to even fight. Not with a gun, not with bullets, not with bombs, but to just talk openly about what's going on. And I want to encourage everyone to do just that. Stand up. Act ye like men. Face evil and put it down. Fight back. Call your representatives locally, state, and federal, and tell them what you think. Tell them what you think. I mean, these trans extremists, fruitcake sickos like these well, trans nuns, right? They're absolutely sick. Bomb threats, multiple targets, right? They want us to accept their Satanism and transism or die. That is their religion, folks. Their religion. This needs to be remembered, just like we should remember the Inquisitions when the Catholic Church said, you believe what we believe or we'll kill you. And the same with this holy war coming out of the Middle East, where if you don't believe what they have to believe, then they can cut your head off and feel good about it. Enough of it all. You don't own me. You don't get to tell me what to think. That is not what America is about. America is about liberty and freedom. And I want you to join me in this fight. To step up and tell these people, no, not anymore. And to disobey their bullshit and to shout them down. They need to be shut down and shouted down, folks. There are hundreds of thousands of us compared to a few hundred of them. It's time to put the bullshit to rest. No more Mr. Nice Guy. No more Mr. Nice and Mrs. Nice Americans. It is time to cut loose against the fruits, folks. Now, Governor Noem, who is also the governor, one of them, who said there'll be no lockdowns in my state. There'll be none of that crap in my state, no masks, no bullshit. Well, Governor Noem is now calling for college boards, right, to prohibit drag shows and remove references to preferred pronouns. That's exactly 100% the direction it should be, and it is also 100% against, that's right, President Biden's demand that you have to accept pronouns and accept trans people in dormitories. We don't have to accept any of their shit, their preferred pronouns. You're going to get what I call you. You're a he, she, or a fruitcake. It's that simple, folks. And they want to be recognized as fruitcakes. They want to appear as strange, bizarre, and fruity as possible and get attention. Well, I'll give them attention. They may not like it, but they're going to get it. I saw zero trans today while I was out training on my paddleboard. As I was paddling through the bayous and estuaries. Miles, folks, of paddleboarding. It was great when the wind was blowing at my back, and it was terrible when the wind was in my face. Anyways, I tell you, I was trying to be inconspicuous with sunglasses and sun hat. Anyways, yeah, it's time to cut loose. It's time to engage, folks. Let's do this. Let's engage one of you in your super chat donations and questions. And holy cow. Ding, 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 ding. Mr. Skylight with a $99.99 super chat donation. And with respect to Mr. Skylight, we'll not celebrate that the usual way. He says, thank you for your service, brother, from us. And I know who the us group is. And I'm very grateful and pleased and humbled that there is an us out there supporting this channel. Thank you very much, Mr. Skylight, and to all of you. It is a moral fight, a spiritual fight, as well as a legal fight and a physical fight. Thank you, Mr. Skylight. And thank you for the Sunday funnies. Folks, every Sunday, Mr. Skylight sends me an email with about 20, it's either an email or text or combination of comic strips, political cartoons. And I don't know if you remember, in the old days, we had a paper, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And then there was this Sunday paper. That was the big day for news. Kind of why I have Sunday Night Live. It's the big day for news for the week. And every day of the week, you could get one page of comics. As a kid, I loved the comics. On Sunday, the comics came in color. So it was a special day for kids. You could get your Sunday paper. Dad would pull out the news and the business and hand the comics to us kids. It was great. Anyways, so I get those Sunday comics from Mr. Skylight. Thank you, sir, very much. It all matters. Let us move on. Now, another super chat donation. I think we want to just rev up, fire up, get it out there. And it's William C. with a $5 super chat donation. We got super chats with YouTube. We got YouTube memberships, but I just want to have people on subscribestar.com and thepreparedmind.club. We also have Venmo, PayPal, and CashApp. Anyways, William C. says, your thoughts? The Beagle study that predicts a 200 million loss of population in the U.S. by 2026. The Deagle study, Deagle with the D. I don't know if that's a typo, got translated, but there is this Deagle study. It's been around for at least, I think, 10 years. I think Deagle goes back a long time. The prediction of a 200 million loss in population in the U.S. by 2026 is extreme, to say the very least. That is an incredible number. That would be almost half of the American, no, take that back. That would be two-thirds of the population dead. Now, the study is based on a lot of things. Predictive analysis is a big part of it. Threat levels and threat assessments is a big part of the Deagle. Also, known agendas is a big part of the Deagle work. My thoughts, I hope they're wrong, but it could happen anytime. And that's why I want you and your family, your group, your extended family, your community, your neighborhood, your state. I want everyone prepared. I want everyone prepared, because when it comes, there won't be any time to prepare. Now, there's creeping SHTF. There's accelerating SHTF. There's SHTF that is out there in the future. We just don't know how bad it is. There's hotspots, and then there's Mad Max SHTF, right? It's all available. It's all there. For the Deagle study to hit, I think it would take a combination of nuclear exchange and biological warfare. And I hope that neither of those happens. To kill that many Americans, folks, 2/3 of America. If it was just done with biowarfare, well, what did we hear earlier? The Russians are saying, well, that bird flu is 40%. That's roughly 1/3 of the population would be killed by it if it was released in America. So it's going to take more than just that, right? It would take something really particularly nasty. If it starts to happen, big trouble, folks. Big trouble. I hope that's wrong. I hope that doesn't happen. Okay, while Jolene sets up some more super chat donations to talk about on here, I want you to think about what you want to talk about. And if you want to join us, get in line for that. What I'm going to do, folks, is I'm going to step up and I'm going to tell you about the Republican Party. No, this isn't a suck up we love the Republicans, folks. No, they're weak. This is our country. We voted them into office. We, you and I, Americans, voted the Republicans into a position where they're the majority, and they should use that authority to fix the problems in this country. So what happened? Representative Kevin McCarthy of California has stepped up, demanded, weaseled, bribed, threatened his way into leadership in the House of Representatives, the Speaker of the House. Well, guess what he's done? He's caved into the Democrats over the 87,000 new IRS agents and said, yep, well, 98, 99% of them are here to stay. How the hell does that work? That's a head scratcher. Principles matter, folks. There should be no principle that you sacrifice ever. Ever. Right? I mean, how do you do it? Do you say, well, you know, the national debt, we can have it forgiven if America were to give over 10 million of our citizens, 10 million children, American children, need to be sent to the Middle East to work as slaves for the princes of Saudi Arabia. If we send over 10 million of our children, then our national debt will be forgiven by the banks. Is that a fair deal? Does that make sense to you? No, because you would have to completely sacrifice your principles. But the greater good, $30 trillion would just be erased. Erased. Well, 10 million children, folks, into 30 trillion. Let's do the math on that. Give me a second. I'm going to do the math, and I'm going to tell you what each one of those children is worth. 30 trillion. Let's see, those are millions, those are billions. I need some more zeros. There we go. $30 trillion divided by 10 million. Each child would be worth $3 million, huh? Isn't that what an insurance company pays in an unlawful death lawsuit? Somewhere between $3 and $5 million. Someone in a family dies and they're like, we'll pay you $3, $4, $5 million. And the family's like, we'll take the money. And they run. Principles matter, folks. Screw McCarthy. He's caving in because he got a couple things he wants. So we're going to leave 87,000 IRS agents in place to screw with us, me and you. Americans, veterans, patriots, taxpayers have to put up with an enormous increase in fuckery because McCarthy got something he wanted. Principles matter. Has McCarthy signed on to, agreed with, and said he's going to take the articles of impeachment against Biden and do something with them? Remember when I said, hey, look, you can introduce all the articles of impeachment you want. But if they're not acted upon, what the hell good are they? This is where we're at, folks. It's not just saying the words. It's not just talking the talk. It's walking the walk. Walking the walk. Principles matter. Morality is resting on foundations that should be rock solid. They shouldn't be like sand that shifts under your feet when the waves, come and go. These people, folks, are fucked up. McCarthy is a piece of shit, selling us out so they can have their deal, so he can claim victory. In fact, you know what? This disgusted me. Both the Democrats and the Republicans in Washington, D.C. cut a deal with each other. And then they went back into their own private rooms and started scheming how they're going to explain to their constituents how they won. Folks, if the Democrats are winning, we're losing. Because everything they want is anti-American and anti-you. Whether it's your children, your tax dollars, your military, your constitutional rights, your legal system, our economy, our retirement, our borders. Everything the Democrats stand for is the destruction of all that is good here. Your medical system, has your health care gotten better? Your retirement, how's that fucking doing? Your quality of life, you liking it? You gonna eat bugs? Are you gonna give up all your private property and wealth and be happy about it? That's what the World Economic Forum thinks. That's who's pulling Joe Biden's chain. And McCarthy, and Chuck Schumer. Every last one of them, folks, are a bunch of freaks and sellouts. Don't forget who McCarthy is, folks. Whoever first names Representative McCarthy's roommate gets a free question up on the Super Chat board. Yeah, no donation needed, but whoever it is that puts his name up first, let that person ask a question. We'll put it right up here. Bam. And while we're waiting for that, and by the way, we've topped on a holiday night when people are out barbecuing for Memorial Day, we're here in remembrance of veterans who have died, supporters of America, freedom, liberty, and our republic. We're honoring them by not folks forgetting them, but by standing for them and realizing and respecting they wanted a free republic, and so do we. What is the next super chat donation while we're waiting for somebody to figure out who I'm talking about? And Mike Lundakis checks in, and it's been a while, Mike. Good to see you are well and here with a $5 super chat donation. And he says, it's too late to turn the tide on this earth. God is testing us to see who will resist unto the end and who will fall to their knees and give in to evil. I'll tell you what, Mike, it's looking like that. I don't know if it's too late to turn the tide. I'm not pessimistic, and I think if I shall lean on the side of faith and say all things are possible with the Almighty, and it's his choice, not mine to say. That said, we are being tested. Not tested by God, but tested by the evil bastards. They want to test us to see if we're willing to resist or if we'll cave. And if you don't resist, if you don't fight back, right, that means you've succumbed, you've given in, you've acquiesced, you've bent the knee. Not me. Now there's two types of people on this planet. You would say that the strong young people have the strength, the fortitude, and the passion to stand up and say, none of this fucking chance, not in this lifetime. I got a lot of life to live, and I'm not going to give it to you, you evil bastards. Well, there's another group, us older guys and gals, who say, you know what? I've lived a good life, and you're not going to ruin what I have left. And I'm certainly not going to let you ruin it for everyone else coming after me. I didn't work this life and pay taxes in this life and do everything I did just to fold now and give in and let you have your way, you bunch of evil pricks. Mike, I agree with you that we are being tested. But I implore you not to give up on it, but to stand like a man and encourage others to join you. Gird up your loins, right, and run before your enemies and meet them on the field. Don't run from them, but run at them. Charge them. Crush the enemy. See them driven before you. And to hear the lamentation of the fruitcakes as they get crushed. Oh, man, I tell you what. Fucking makes my blood boil. It's not Paul Ryan. It's Frank Lutz. G62 data. Frank Lutz is Kevin McCarthy's live-in buddy. There you have it. G62 data gets to do a free super chat question. I'm glad you guys played that game. But Paul Ryan, I'm sure he plays, I'm sure that during poker games, he spends time under the table, if you get the drift. All right. While we're waiting for G26's question, I've got some shit I want to talk to you about. I got some shit. We need to fight back. Once this country has its moral foundation solidified, and it says this is right and that is wrong. This is good and that is bad. We know the difference. We don't need to justify evil and allow it to exist. So we feel good about ourselves and allow fruitcakes, right, to exist. They know the fruitcakes should be stopped cold. Right? We need to stand up to the fruitcakes, folks. In Iowa, the governor there has signed bills, not one bill, but several. That is laws that are restricting sexual books, teaching gender identity, and sexual orientation in elementary schools. That is not what they should be teaching. And in Iowa, it is now a law restricting that type of shit from being taught. Now, folks, when I was in 6th grade, they had sex education. Did that include how to put on a glove and lube up your hand and stick it in someone's anus? No. Did it encourage S&M, sexual role-playing and pissing on your partner? No. Did it involve anything, how to have sex? No. Back in 1981, sexual education included understanding physiology, the difference between males and females based on their genitals and how reproductive processes worked. The idea back then was, if you understand how this works, you probably won't have as much sex and get someone knocked up, right, and have unwanted teen pregnancy. At least that was the story they were telling back in the early 1980s. I guess I'm blessed with a really damn good memory because I remember all that bullshit. And boy, I tell you what, us boys were like, oh my God, that's some funny stuff, right? Penis, vagina, funny stuff. Girls and boys. Boys have penises, girls have vaginas, right? That was it. That's all we needed to know. That's it. You don't need to teach them how to have anal sex or give BJs in the men's locker room to other boys. I mean, it's just disgusting. And I'm glad the Iowa governors, you know, the Iowa governor would not do what the Iowa governor has done if you, people like you, had not told them, stop it. Put an end to this shit now. Stop it forever. Here and now and forever. Stop it. Done. 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 It's because of you, folks, fighting to get this country back on track, to know the difference between good and evil, good and bad, right and wrong, man and woman. When we have that back, folks, just fucking common sense and decency. When we understand the fundamental rules, then you can start making further progress. How can you decide if guns are good or bad if you can't decide if you've got a penis or not and what your gender is? How can you decide if guns are good or bad if you can't decide whether child rape is good or bad? Well, child rape is wrong. And screwing with their heads and destroying their innocence is wrong. And because I know those things, I can look at guns and say what is right and wrong. I can look at our protections against abusive government and know what is right or wrong. All right, we got the G62 data comment, right? He said Frank Lutz. He knows. He says, no questions, just remember the fallen. Thank you, G62 data. The fallen. That's what Memorial Day is, folks. The men and women who have fought for this country, died, who have served those who, folks, they're people who just served the warriors, the fighters, who have fought and died for liberty, the protection of our country, the liberty of other countries around the world. Our country has fought wars for everyone for the past 200 plus years, trying to kick the stuffings out of evil everywhere. At least that's the principle the warriors fight under. They fought and they died because they believed in good. They believed in God. God, good, gut. They understand what is right and wrong. That's why you can fight for something. Folks, if you're fighting for good, then eliminating the enemy is the proper thing to do. When you're fighting immorally, if you're a terrorist and you've got your disgusting, filthy agenda, which has nothing to do with good and bad, and actually, these filthy people are fighting for the preservation and protection of all that's evil, as well as the expansion of what is evil. They need to be opposed, folks. They need to be beaten back. Some would argue in a literal sense, but I'm not promoting that kind of violence. I'm telling you that violence is going to come, though. People are waking up and they're realizing what is happening. And they're calling their congressmen, and I want you to join them. They're calling their governors, and I want you to join them. They're calling their senators, and I want you to join them to push back. Cut the fruits loose, right? You know bad fruit when you see it, folks. Look at these transgenders. Look at these drag queens. Look at these people like like Sam Brinton, the bald-headed, red lipstick wearing fruitcake who would wear women's dresses and his little pup handler stuff. Stolen how many thousands of dollars of clothing from other people? Was a fugitive from law, and he was a Biden administration appointee. We know what's good and evil, folks. And the people that have come before us and fought for freedom and liberty, they knew as well. Do you think any of them out there would support the shit that's going on today? And they've been trying to destroy our military, folks. As a kid, I watched MASH growing up. M-A-S-H, MASH. And they had the character named Klinger, who was a cross-dressing fruitcake who wanted out of the army and war. In my opinion, it was funny as a kid. But now that I've seen what they were shooting for and aiming for all along is to destroy the military with this crap. And that is why before the 1990s and Bill Clinton, when I was in the military, if you were a homosexual, they'd kick your ass out. If you were a cross-dresser, they'd kick your ass out. And now that we see what these cross-dressing transsexual freaks are doing to our military, it's easy to see why prior to Bill Clinton, they would be kicked out for it. Because it is corrosive. It is corruption. It is disgusting and filthy. And it dishonors all who served, and especially those who died for our republic. To have these people who are not patriotic, but who are there to destroy this country. Just like every communist officer that goes through West Point or Annapolis or the Air Force. Just unbelievable. Isn't it Boulder, Colorado, where the Air Force's officer corps school is? I tell you. All right, folks, where are we going next? What do we want to talk about? I wasn't sure if I was going to go 2 hours tonight or just stick around for a little bit and let it go. You guys have been pretty well engaged with me in the conversation. Pretty much. I covered the Obama stuff, folks, pretty good. I really did. I'm okay. Forget. I'm going to talk about it. Screw it. Here we go. Here we go. Right. There's a song by a pro-Trump rap group. It is now #2 on the iTunes hip hop chart, and the song is called "Boycott Target." Now, I am not a huge rap fan. I'm not a huge hip hop fan. I guess maybe it's because they say, white guys don't have rhythm. Doesn't matter, right? It's just not my favorite music. A lot of people believe that rap music is absolute garbage because it comes from the ghetto. And a lot of the rap music, like Fuck the Police and others, it's all kind of anti-culture, anti-decency itself. But there are interesting rappers out there, folks, like Tom McDonald and others who are, they use rap or hip hop to promote decency. Well, in this case, if the guy is saying boycott Target in his rap and it's #2 on iTunes, that gets my vote. I don't know the song. I don't know the beat. I don't know nothing about it. But if it is out there promoting, punishing, and destroying the enemies of America, then I'm all for it. Folks, shit has hit the fan. Has it not? Don't you see it? Can't you feel it when you look around you? It's like the Matrix. You feel it when you pay your taxes. You're like, why am I paying money to people who hate me and my country? Right? You feel it at a stop sign. When that light turns red, you've got a computer telling you what to do. You feel it when you eat your food because you wonder if there's mRNA crap in it. When you go to the doctor, when you pick your kids up at school, when you go to work, when you watch TV, you see this crap everywhere. Fight back. And I'll tell you what, you and I are fighting back. You and I are. And it's starting to hurt the fruitcakes, folks. That's right. The big tech firms, guess what they're having to do? In the tech sector, folks, big tech, they're having to lay off hundreds and thousands of people. And who are they letting go? Those that they hire to censor and silence you. That's right, misinformation and hate speech. They would, if they could, characterize everything I say as hate because they don't like what I have to say. And they think that because I'm against them, their agenda, their belief system, their perversions, that it must be hate that promotes and provides support for me. It's not, right? Decency is what drives me. Patriotism is what drives me. And my faith is what drives me. And that I have an agenda and that I have a mission, a calling to be right here with you guys and to spread this word, and we share it through the internet, and we use their system, the internet, against them. And now they're having to lay off their people who are here to silence you and me. I think it's just fucking great. As if these people matter. Fuck them, the ones that want to tell you and me what is truth and what isn't, what is fact and isn't, what is misinformation, right? What is disinformation or malinformation and hate speech? I think anything they say is hate speech because they hate freedom and liberty. These people are a bunch of liars, fools, knaves, and hypocrites, like our good buddy Leonardo DiCaprio. You guys have heard of that clown, right? Leonardo DiCaprio, super rich playboy. Hey, good for you, pal. I'm glad you did well. You're able to read a cue card like no one else. So he celebrates saving the world by partying on his super yacht in Sardinia, Italy. So he can burn all the carbon he needs. He's got a ship, folks, a fucking super yacht that is impressive. Now, if I had, say, a 40-foot boat or yacht, if you will, would that be a super yacht, or just it would be big enough for me to live on? Kind of like it was big enough for me to live on a 33-foot fifth wheel towed by a 22-foot truck, right? I've got my home. So it's a mobile home or a mobile home, transportable home versus a stationary home, right? And they're both the same. But this jackass has to have a super yacht. That makes him a fucking hypocrite. Now, if Leonardo DiCaprio had a 40-foot, or even a 50-foot yacht, well, good for him. He's got a nice boat. Way to go, man. But to tell us, me and you, that we should have to walk or pedal our asses anywhere we want to go, and that we need to live in 15-minute cities where everything you ever need and everywhere you'll ever be allowed to go is within 15 minutes of you. But he can do whatever he wants. See, folks, that is elitism. That is, folks, anti-freedom. Fuck Leonardo DiCaprio. That's why I do not watch his movies, no matter how good they may or may not be. I won't even give him a look. Screw him. Now, I want to give you a taste of history. That the men and women fought to destroy this system. In the American Revolution, there's a system known as feudalism that was defeated. It was finally defeated in the American Revolution. Feudalism. In feudalism, the lord of the land owns the people that live on it. He owns the land and the people, and he charges them rent. That would be property taxes. To live on the land, and they pay that fee or taxes. And you're not allowed to leave that land without the Lord's permission. And you can't travel onto another landlord or lord's position or property without both permission to leave yours and to enter his. That was feudalism. People would live and die within a 20-mile radius, folks. A 20-mile radius. They would never see beyond, folks, a certain mountain. They could never travel over a river or a bridge. They weren't allowed that unless you had special permission. And the lords of the land wouldn't let their people leave because they were slave to them. And these people like Leonardo DiCaprio, they love that kind of system because they're above it. They are above it. And he is a giant piece of trash. And I don't mind saying that. All right. Good golly. These people will not give up. They will not go away. Period. We have another huge win, another massive victory. In the United States, the Texas Children's Hospital, the CEO there, well, on Wednesday he did, Mark Wallace, announced his decision in a memo to cite compliance with the Texas law in ongoing investigations by Ken Paxton, the Attorney General, that they were engaging in illegal behavior and performing gender transitioning procedures on children against Texas law. Now, Attorney General Paxton has over the weekend dealt with impeachment proceedings within Texas coming from rhino Republicans and Democrats. But Attorney General Paxton sounds to me like he's the good guy, and this is what he said. I've been clear that any gender transitioning procedures that hurt our children constitute child abuse under Texas law. Do you think that has anything to do with the reason that he's being impeached? Folks, the U.S., the United States' largest children's hospital in Texas, is no longer going to offer home run therapy or transgender surgeries. They call it care. It's not care, it's fucking destruction. They're no longer going to offer transgender destruction of children's genitals. This hospital, the biggest children's hospital in the country, is no longer going to cut penises and breasts off of children because Ken Paxton has told them you're breaking the law, because the Texas legislature passed the law and now he's being impeached. You think that there is a fucking coincidence here? I don't like coincidences. No, I don't believe in them. I don't believe in them. I do not. The CEO says no more of that. Now, the reports indicate that Texas Children's Hospital may be unlawfully performing such procedures, and my office is working to uncover the truth. Why is it that Attorney General Paxton, who has been fighting for decency, folks, is being impeached? How much would they love to remove Paxton, folks, and replace him with one of their stooges? In Texas, folks, call your state representatives and start yelling at them at the top of your voice to stop screwing with Texas, stop screwing with children. Paxton's done a couple of really good things this week, folks, and he's being impeached. Does that make any sense to you? Joe Biden, President Biden, can abandon our allies, military and civilian, as well as American civilians in a foreign country, and turn that country over to our enemy and give them $85 billion. $85 billion in equipment and weaponry. Americans died on that soil in Afghanistan. They bled the soil red, many Americans, serving this country and protecting the people in other countries for freedom and liberty's sake, as well as some corporations' profits. But let's just leave that aside. The fact that those men and women died, that's who we memorialize on Memorial Day, so that Biden could turn that country back over to our enemies, reward them, and then punish the remaining Americans who were left behind and abandoned. And he isn't fucking impeached? What planet am I on? Folks, when it's time to pay the fiddler, it's going to come with interest. There's going to be hell to pay, in other words. is my drill instructor, my favorite little guy on the planet, used to say, lo and behold, boys, lo and behold. The man's name was, he was a staff sergeant when I was there, Dominguez. He was Puerto Rican, an American. Lo and behold. Well, we want morality and decency. We want our country, our laws, our culture, our traditions respected. And those cultures and traditions and laws, folks, were based on morality, decency. They were based on the golden rule and respect. What do we have now? We have fat activists cheering as Mayor Adams in New York City signs a bill banning weight discrimination. You're not allowed to discriminate anyone because they're fat or skinny, I guess. Weight discrimination. But they'll fuck you over if you don't put a piece of smelly, dirty, infested material over your face. They'll deny your job, your rights, say you can't go to stores, come out of your homes, that you can't participate in any societal functions that allow you in public because you don't do what the city of New York says. But you better not say a fucking word about anyone who's fat. Put your diaper on your face and go suck one is basically what they're telling you in New York City. And I tell you, it's coming. It's coming. I'm gonna calm down. I'm gonna pull it back a little bit and listen to one of your questions. Read it, answer it, and think about it. Super chat donation coming your way right now. And it's William Nipper with a $9.99 super chat donation. And he says, he's got a quote from Voltaire. Voltaire was a philosopher, a French philosopher who lived prior to, during, and after the American Revolution. Voltaire, he said, the more often a stupidity is repeated, the more it gets the appearance of wisdom. William Nipper says, seems like the world we're living in now, which is why I am here repeatedly repeating that we need to be a moral, good, decent people. And we can defeat these evil fucks. And they need to be called what they are. They are the enemy of freedom and liberty. They're the enemy of all that's good. They are anti-Christian. They're anti-Catholic. They're anti-Christ is what they are. By the way, you're doing a great job by not shopping at Target. Those pricks have lost over $10 billion in the last 10 days because of our boycott. Over $10 billion in lost revenue. You want to play games? I mean, they've got their shirt. Trans people will always exist. Back in the fucking closet is where you belong. That's where you belong. You want to come out of the closet? Then you can put up with all of what we have to say about you. It's a fucking war on morality, and I say go Patriots. Do it. Do it. Stand up and say what needs to be said. Quit being afraid of these people. Quit being afraid of them. Folks, the University of Connecticut is requiring anti-black racism course for all undergraduate students. In other words, in order to graduate, you have to take their racism course, which will teach you that you are anti-black and you're an awful, evil, terrible person. So are your parents and your country. I say boycott the University of Connecticut. Email them, even if you don't go there. Even if you're not from Connecticut and you even never heard of the little fucking shithole of a state. UConn needs to hear it, folks. Boycott them. Email them and tell them what a bunch of racists they are. Because here's how you tell if something's racist. Put another race in there. Imagine if the University of Connecticut required a course to teach everyone that they're evil because they're against Asians. Or they're evil because they're against whether they like it or not, whether they know it or not, whether they accept it or not. They're against Hindu people from India. They're against Australian Aboriginals. They are evil, awful, terrible people. They should repudiate themselves. They should flog themselves daily for 20 minutes every single day because they hate penguins. Stupid, isn't it? Yet the University of Connecticut requires an anti-white course. They call it anti-black racism. Basically, it's race worship of one race and race condemnation of another. And everyone has to take it. If you want their silly piece of frickin' paper, right? You want their little piece of paper that says you're smart, you have to kiss their ass and destroy yourself and your self-image and your self-worth. Fuck them. I'm telling you, folks, it's time to fight back. It really is. It's time to fight back. Quit giving in. I mean, these people, folks, will fight anyone and everything to destroy you. They're also fighting themselves. They're fighting themselves. Unbelievable, folks. In Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, remember her? AOC? AOC. The woman who can eat an apple through a picket fence and never smear lipstick on the fence boards. That bug-eyed, horse-toothed wench. She had a town hall meeting, folks, and it spiraled into chaos because her Democrat policies are failing them. She was called a piece of shit by her own constituents. People in the crowd were booing her and booing each other. They're fighting amongst themselves because they're destroying not just me and you. They're destroying themselves and their own people. And everyone thinks it's cute to destroy those people over there. But when it starts destroying people in their neighborhood, their families, they don't think it's very cute anymore. Right? The fact that, well, New York City is it's a sanctuary city. And that's a good thing. It's good until what? It starts affecting them. It's affecting hotels. It's affecting businesses. It's affecting the locals. It's affecting their budget. And now they don't like it anymore. They thought it was just fine when down in Texas, everyone was having to put up with that shit because, well, it's a great policy then because it's not affecting them. Now that it's in their backyard, they're fighting and yelling and screaming, and they should be blaming AOC. They should be. I think even her jackass boyfriend, I think he's a redheaded white piece of trash, got up, walked over, took the COVID mask off his face and yelled at people. I guess COVID knows not to spread when you're mad and you need to shout really loud and have people hear you. They still don't get it. They still don't fucking get it. That to see someone's mouth, nose, eyes, and expression, it's a big part of communicating. They seem to know it when they want to make sure their emotional state is expressed and their voice heard, they'll take their mask off. But fuck you, right? Imagine that, living in New York and wearing a mask. Enjoy your stupid Democrats. And for Republicans living up there, I genuinely am sorry that you have to do that. I genuinely am. Jolene, do we have something we want to take a look at? Who wants to step up? What do we want to talk about? I tell you what, I've got something that has been just on my mind. This was interesting. The fact that this came up. There's a lot of interesting shit out there right now, this weekend. A lot of really interesting stuff. In Missouri, at a convent, they exhumed the remains of Sister Wilhelmina Lancaster. That's a heck of a name. Her body was put to rest 4 years ago, but it's intact. And Catholics, folks, especially love miracles, and they seem to look for them. Right, the beautification is incredible. The fact that this body is not decomposed after 4 years. There's miracles going on, folks, in the Catholics, in the Protestants. There's a revival that's going on in America. This is not a religious channel by any means. It's a channel that's dedicated to the Constitution, freedom, liberty, our country, our history, our traditions, our culture. And that does touch on things religious, sorry to say, but I'm not a religious guy where I'm going to throw it down your throat. I just want you to know that it does require, our country does require a moral foundation to exist. And a lot of that, a big part of it is respecting our forefathers and those who have served and felt so strongly about their beliefs that they're willing to give their lives for it even. And that's what Memorial Day is. There's a big connection between the two, a huge connection. There's a huge connection, folks. The fight needs to continue. Well, in Alabama, they seem to have figured that out. Yet another state, my precious state of Alabama. The lawmakers have now advanced. In other words, they passed it on. A bill which defines men and women and their genders. Folks, what was once clear, I guess, is going to have to be clear again. Isn't it interesting if I said, well, the sun rises over there. It's risen over there for the last 10,000 years. It comes up right there every single day. The sun. It's obvious as the nose on your face. The sun rises right there every single day. Guaranteed. And then one day, some idiot male puts on a woman's dress, tucks his weenie up between his butt cheeks, and says, no, the sun doesn't rise over there. Like you said, the sun rises over there. And everyone goes, what are you talking about? That makes no sense. The sun rises over there. And the fruitcake who's taken his weenie and shoved it between his butt cheeks says, no, it rises over there. And we're supposed to believe him because he is now some sort of sanctified, perfect human because he's managed to take his penis and stuff it between his own butt cheeks. We're supposed to believe the sun rises over there when we know it rises over there. We're going to all of a sudden just disregard intelligent thought, thousands of years of understanding that men have penises and women have vaginas, and just because you claim to be a woman doesn't make you one. Sun rises right there, folks. And in Alabama, men have penises and women have vaginas, and that's a good thing. God bless Alabama. Another state joining the fight. The good people of Alabama are fighting back. Truly. Truly. Now, in San Francisco, folks, a very immoral shithole of a town, the mayor there did a speech on crime. Oh, this crime thing is getting out of hand. That's I think the mayor's name is London Breed. Those are two names that I don't think are names, but I guess that's her name. I guess London Breed is going to beat my friend Marrakesh Road Carriage. I mean, what kind of fucking name is that? Anyways, I'm not going to make fun of the name. But the person's an idiot. But during this speech on crime that's gotten out of hand, and what are we going to do about it? What are we going to do about this crime? You know, someone commits a violent crime and throws a fucking brick and almost smashed a kid. Just, these people are morons, folks. They're going that direction in San Francisco. They're going that direction in New York City. They're going that direction in Chicago. But states like what, Iowa, Florida, Alabama, Texas, and many others, South Dakota, just the ones I mentioned, just in this show alone, this short little show, they're fighting back against stupid and making what was once easy and clear, well, they're going to make it clear and understandable yet again. Now, what's interesting is in some places in California and other fruitcake states, the people are, regardless of their political leaders, turning against them. For example, in North Hollywood, the parents of children at an elementary school are going to keep their children home in protest of an assembly, a gathering, a celebration at the school for pride fruitcakes. Good. Don't send your kids to school where they have rainbows and communist flags, and they want to give your kids pornographic material showing children sucking each other. That's how disgusting these schools are, folks. Why would you send your kids there? Why? 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 I don't get it. To this day, I don't get it. And I want to thank Fuzzy for sending me an email about the United Nations demanding control of everything, control of the world because of climate change. Just unbelievable. Unbelievable what's going on. Are we ready to fight World War III yet? Are we? Are we ready to step up for what's right and decent in America and fight these evil bastards? I sure hope so. I really do. We've got people in our government, folks, who not only want to allow children to be used as sex toys and groomed, but they want to allow our older children who are just now becoming adults, they want to push them into war. I want to remind you again, folks, that Light in the Loafers Lindsey Graham flew over to Kiev and promised that he's going to keep sending weapons to Ukraine to fight Russia. I mean, this is what he said. This just popped up on my feed, folks. The Russians are dying. It's the best money we ever spent. Really? It's the best money we ever spent? Is that the attitude of politicians in Congress? Well, apparently it is. Apparently it is. It's the best money ever spent. It's money that's used to kill people. Folks, I understand that war is necessary. I guess I should. I was a freaking Marine, right? You kill the enemy. You crush them. But there used to be a respect, folks, for one's enemies. Yes, you defeat them. Yes, you crush them. Yes, you drive them before you. But you still respected them because they felt strongly about their position. You respected the enemy and their ability and their training and what they believed in. Do these people respect anyone or anything? You certainly are supposed to respect your dead that fought for your country. So on this Memorial Day weekend, what is that piece of shit Graham saying? The Russians are dying. It's the best money ever spent. Okay, I am not a national politician. I'm not a state or local politician. Yet here we are. Here we are. This is what they believe in. This is what they want. This is what they're thinking. Now, Russia has responded to this. Maria Zakharova has responded to Lindsey Graham's video, is saying, and she said, U.S. Senator from South Carolina, Lindsey Graham, said with a satisfied smirk at a meeting with Zelensky, Russians are dying. We have never spent money so well. I'm going to continue with what was said. During the Nuremberg Tribunal, the Minister of Economics of Nazi Germany, Hjalmar Schacht, stated that sponsorship of the Third Reich also came from abroad and named the two largest American corporations, Ford and General Motors. An unspoken deal was made with them, freedom in exchange for silence. Despite the protests of the Soviet representatives, he was released and lived to be 93 years old. Let me remind you that the embodiment of the American dream, the same legendary Henry Ford, was a holder of the Grand Cross of the Order of Merit of the German Eagle. His factories in Germany not only produced up to 70,000 trucks a year for the needs of the Wehrmacht, that would be the army, but also used the labor of prisoners, including Auschwitz, for this. And the German icon of the automotive industry, Opel, belonged to General Motors. Researcher Bradford Snell describes the role of the corporation as follows. General Motors was far more important to the Nazi war machine than the Swiss banks. Switzerland was just a repository of stolen money. General Motors was an integral part of the German war effort. The Third Reich could have invaded Poland and Russia without the help of Switzerland, but they couldn't have done it without the help of General Motors. And I'll submit Ford, also Kodak, Coca-Cola, Standard Oil. There's just too many companies here, folks. Senator Graham definitely has some material to draw comparisons. One of their investments led to World War II and the Holocaust. Now, billions of US dollars are pouring into the insatiable throat of the neo-Nazi Kiev regime. Fact. In this regard, I would like to remind the senators and all American beneficiaries of how the previous adventure ended. It ended with, folks, millions of people dying, veterans, Americans as well as people from around the world who believed in what they believed, but it was all done to benefit the rich, the wealthy, and the powerful. People like Senator Graham, who say, Russians are dying. We have never spent money so well. It is Memorial Day, folks. Memorial Day. And I want people to remember why we fight and why we die. And while we want to fight and win for freedom and liberty, we find out we're fighting and dying and risking the lives of people around the world, and they're dying for the benefit of assholes like Lindsey Graham, Klaus. Do I go down the list and name them all? All the American corporations that are woke, pro-Ukraine, pro-war, pro-destruction, anti-American, pro-genital mutilation. That's who these people are. That's who you and I are up against. That's why I say you need to be prepared. Understand it. All right, Jolene, let's end this show. If we're going to end it with a super chat donation, you guys have a lot to say. You support this channel. You support each other. You support freedom. You support America. You honor veterans, those who have fallen and those who haven't, and God bless you. Blue Cord Devil checks in. And I'll stay here and sip and salute and toast all on Veterans Day. Blue Cord Devil with another 57.62 super chat donation. He says, let us raise our glasses once again, this time to the first one I lost in 1994, Cynthia Gibbs. She was a wife and mother, a great friend. Rest in peace. Still remember you. Peace and prayers. Prepared Mind family. Watch your six. And I'll say Semper Fi. God bless America. Thank you, Blue Cord Devil. I want to thank all of you. Once again, it's our country. Are we going to allow these people to keep doing what they do? Or are you going to fight back? Thank you for joining me at the zoo, for supporting us through, let's see, PayPal, Super Chats, Venmo, everything else. Thank you for supporting one another. Thank you for helping one another. Thank you for hitting thumbs up, subscribing, and sharing that internet address so people can find this channel and find freedom and liberty and understand it is being fought for. It is being supported. It's worth fighting for. Just like that. I'm going to check out. I'll say my prayers tonight. And I want to thank you. Godspeed to you. Semper Fi.